everyone, I'm Will, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. It has been quite some time since I sat down with a microphone in front of a camera to talk about movies. For a lot of reasons, I've struggled lately to articulate my feelings about why I think movies are good or bad from any sort of genuinely insightful perspective. Additionally, I've been having this thing lately where I'm just so excited to be watching new movies that I keep loving them no matter how bad they are. Of the 20 some odd movies I've logged on Letterboxd this year, yes, I'm a Letterboxd user. I'm sorry about that. Like 2 of them I gave less than 5 stars. As of late, it's just hard to find that film bro hater inside of me. I'm sure they'll come back, but for now, I'm very much off my hater wave. As I mentioned in a YouTube video barely anybody saw that came out 4 years ago, I absolutely love the Oscars. I love the fashion, the red carpet interviews, the spectacle, and of course, creatives getting recognized for their superb achievements in the cinematic arts. Whatever. Now that I've graduated college and I have a little bit more free time than I did before, this year I wanted to take a crack at watching all 10 Best Picture nominees. I'm delighted to report that 2023 had some of the best movie-going experiences that I've had in a very long time. Sure, Wonka may have been snubbed, but there was no Joker of this year's nominees list.
I cannot understand how this movie is nominated for Best Picture.
And since I largely have positive things to say, I'm going to do a lightning review of every movie the Academy saw fit to nominate for Best Picture. In 100 words or less for each movie, I'm going to say what I liked and occasionally what I disliked about every nominee from this year's ceremony. Keep in mind that these are all great films, so any light criticism I have should be tempered by the fact that they're all really good, I really like all of them, and they are all deserving nominees. That being said, let's start our way at the bottom. First up, we have Maestro, directed by and starring noted Rocket Raccoon portrayer Bradley Cooper. Despite its grand scale, this Leonard Bernstein biopic mostly stands out for its really good makeup effects. We all clowned on the first set pictures, but in the context of the finished film, Cooper looks fantastic as Bernstein throughout. The standout performance is definitely Carey Mulligan, a absolutely deserving nominee. But beyond that, every other nomination this film got felt a little bit like an obligation. I see a lot of TikToks saying that the conducting is wrong, but it was exciting, and since I don't know how to conduct symphonies, I enjoyed it. But the overall structure of this movie seems haphazard. Enjoyable overall, but there is a reason it's at the bottom. Next up, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Can you find the wolves in this picture?
Marty's latest is an amazing, extremely long examination of the Osage murders, adapted from one of my favorite books I read last year. Lily Gladstone steals the show in every single one of her scenes, but Leo's supporting performance perfectly captured the greasy energy of Ernest Burkhart. The score is also excellent, but what most shone for me were the visual components of this movie. Every single frame is well constructed and visually stunning, but the major criticism everyone has for this movie is true. It is far too long. Some cuts might be prudent next time, Marty. Third, let's talk about Barbie.
Do you guys ever think about dying?
I participated in the opening night of Barbenheimer last year, and even with that much hype, I wasn't expecting Barbie to be as delightful as it was. Absolutely one of the funniest movies I saw in theaters last year, and the screenplay far exceeded what I thought they could get out of the source material. Ryan Gosling's performance has been written about too much for me to say anything other than that it's great, but I wish they had given Margot Robbie more to do so that I didn't have to say, I understand why she wasn't nominated. Number 4, Past Lives.
Childhood sweethearts who reconnect 20 years later and realize they were meant for each other.
Gut-wrenching, heartbreaking, from a flawless screenplay and backed by incredible performances, Celine Song created a uniquely touching film that emotionally affected me more than any other on this list. Greta Lee's leading performance carries this film to emotional heights I couldn't have predicted. And I want to give a special shout out to John Magaro's touching supporting role as Arthur. Wikipedia says this movie is partially based on Song's life, and if that's true, she's stronger than me for writing about it, because I would have just cried. Number 5, The Zone of Interest. Jonathan Glazer's deeply unsettling Holocaust film was one of the biggest surprises of the year for me. The way he's able to capture the banality of evil, so central to understanding how vile the Nazis were, is extremely compelling. And the creative decision to never show the inside of Auschwitz leads to one of the most horrifying, brilliant pieces of sound design I've ever experienced. This was the year of Sandra Hüller, and even though this is only her second best performance of 2023, she's without a doubt the acting highlight. We've reached the halfway point, and I can finally stop for breath outside of my 100-word limit to say that, outside of Maestro, which I just liked well enough, I love every single one of the movies I've talked about so far. But the next 5 is where things really heat up. And one of the best years for movies I've ever been a part of. The next 5 nominees are among the most deserving that I've ever seen. Ignoring the Wonka snub. Put your hand into your pocket. And more realistically, the Iron Claw snub. Let's get into my 5 favorite movies of the year. First up, Chris Nolan's Oppenheimer.
8, 7.
Oppenheimer was the best movie I saw in 2020. Not my favorite, mind you, but the best. Every aspect, from Cillian Murphy's virtuoso performance, to Göransson's score, to the transcendent camera work, to the borderline miraculous practical effects, was a testament to what movies can be when creatives are allowed to follow their vision. Sure, it's quite long, and sure, it's very bleak, and both of those definitely play a part into why it's not my favorite movie of the year, but this nuanced character study somehow turned blockbuster is a unique experience that I'm so lucky to have seen in IMAX. 7. American Fiction.
I just want to rub their noses in it.
This was, I was surprised to find, the most fun I had watching any movie on this list. I've loved Jeffrey Wright ever since I saw him in Casino Royale, way before I was old enough to be watching Bond movies, and his work as a leading man here is exceptional. The primary appeal of American Fiction, however, is obviously the screenplay. Every second of the movie was clever, witty, insightful, or just genuinely laugh out loud funny, to the point that Best Adapted Screenplay is the category I'm most embarrassed to have gotten wrong. If you haven't, please go watch this movie. It rules. Quickly breaking from the format to say that the next 2 are tied. I watched them on the same night. They both left me feeling things I wasn't ready to feel, so I literally cannot pick between them in terms of which one I love more. To be most fair, I'll just have to review them in alphabetical order, which means 8A is going to be Anatomy of a Fall.
I did not kill him.
That's not the point.
Finally, the Academy nails the Best Original Screenplay award. Anatomy of a Fall is one of the tightest written, most gripping movies I've watched in a very long time. I was hooked for every minute of this combination murder mystery courtroom drama. If not for a certain actress who's going to come up later, don't worry. Sandra Hüller would have gotten way more hype for Best Actress. That established, I'm going to use my last 29 words to shout out Swan Arlo, and especially Milo Mercado-Grane with one of the best child actor performances that I've ever seen. 8B is The Holdovers.
I thought all the Nazis were hiding in Argentina.
Stifle it, Tully.
It was a deeply heartwarming movie that provided the world with an introduction to the delightful Dominic Sessa.
Come to me, angel of music. Is that good?
A kindness that can literally never be repaid. I'm a longtime Giamatti head, and Divine Joy Randolph's performance stole every scene that she was in. The relationship developed throughout David Hemingson's allegedly plagiarized screenplay was so believable and touching and grounded that you can't help but get invested in Sessa and Giamatti's teacher-student dynamic. I'm oftentimes a big hater when it comes to movies like this, but The Holdovers won me over. Not a tearjerker for me, but definitely an eye-waterer. Number 10, finally, the Best Picture nominee that I loved the most. It is the weirdest, most captivating movie I've seen in a very long time, and thus the only movie that I'm going to break the 100 words rule for. That movie, of course, is Poor Things.
I must go punch that baby.
Literally the only thing I knew about this movie before seeing it was that it was weird, and boy howdy was that underselling it. Emma Stone's performance is so otherworldly and unlike anything I've seen in my life, and she built so brilliantly off the supporting performances of sexy lawyer Mark Ruffalo, earnest scientist Rami Youssef, and absolutely goated Willem Dafoe that you can't tear your eyes from the screen for a second without fear of missing something incredible. The deservedly winning production design is wacky and colorful and tells a story completely in itself. The often upsetting score fits perfectly with everything that's happening on screen and really enhances the mood of the film. If anyone watching this has a Hulu account and hasn't watched it yet, I am begging you to do so at your earliest convenience. There's like probably another minute of this video. It's not worth it if you haven't seen Poor Things. Just turn this off, go straight to Hulu. It's one of the few movies that I'm still thinking about almost every single day, weeks after I've seen it last. Poor Things is a truly singular experience that I know my words will do no justice. So that was 2023 in film, at least according to the Academy. For my fellow Zac Efron and Jeremy Allen White stands, I just want to reiterate how deeply snubbed I think The Iron Claw was. One of the most harrowing film experiences I've maybe ever had in my life.
You don't own me.
Thank you for watching me rant about movies that I love for far too many minutes at this point, and with any luck, I'll see you soon. Thank you for watching.